All right, welcome to part 3 of the job order costing system mini series of videos. And in this video, I'm going to talk about factory labor or about the direct labor and the cost of labor associated with producing our jobs. So one of the main documents we're going to be using for that is called the time ticket. And there's many different forms for time tickets that we could use. Time ticket is basically what? So when an employee reports for work, they have to use an electronic badge, or they have to use a clock card or an in and out card or to clock in. So they clock in some way. And basically when an employee is working on an individual job, they will use time tickets to record the amount of time they have worked on that specific job. Okay, now there's many systems here and they can do it individual, but we're going to assume here that the supervisor is controlling how many hours each person is working in each one of the jobs, and therefore that's the system that I'm going to stick with for the remaining of these videos. So this is how a time ticket completed looks like. All right, so we're going to have here different things. Job reference, we put the job that we are referring to calculate the amount of work done on that job. Okay, so it would just be the job reference. Department, we list the different departments that work on our job. Okay, in this case we're only gonna have 2, but still I put a little bit more space. Hours is how many hours were used in order to create this job in each one of the departments. So how many hours each department has worked on this job. Rate is how much they get paid per hour. Normally you can get this information from the accounting department. Okay, you don't need to know each one of your employees cost per hour, but just rather an average. And finally, we would have our totals, and we would have our total cost of labor for that job. And this is ultimately the number that we are looking for in the time ticket to know how much money we actually have spent in terms of labor on that job. So now let me show you how to fill this table step by step so you better understand where the numbers come from. So let's start by filling our time tickets. Now we're assuming here that each supervisor of each one of the jobs would be updating this table according to the amount of hours that each employee has worked on it. So what we're going to do in this case is the following. We start by putting the job reference. So in this case I'm doing for job 006. Okay, and if you remember, there is different departments on the business. So we're going to start with the first department, okay, which was the cutting department, and then there was also the sewing department. Okay, and then what we would do is to place here the total amount of hours that the cutting and the sewing department has worked on the job 06. So if you remember, job 06 is producing 1,500 purses, and what I'm going to assume here is that for those 1,500 purses, the cutting department worked a total, for example, of 1,650 hours, while the sewing department has worked a total of 900 hours in order to sew all those purses. The other two I'm going to leave empty. Okay, actually we don't need them, but I'm just going to leave them here for now. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit up so it's easier to see. There you go. Then you would have the rate. Okay, now the rate over here is basically the average rate that these people get paid per hour. Now let's imagine that someone working in the cutting department gets paid, for example, around $10 an hour, while someone working in the sewing department gets paid, for example, 13. Okay, and then to calculate the total, I already put it calculated automatically, but as you can probably realize, would be the amount of hours multiplied by the rate. Okay, and there you go. And with that, now we know that for job 6, the total amount of work done in job 6 was $28,000 in terms of direct, $28,200 in terms of direct labor. And this is how we would use this time ticket in order to calculate the cost of our direct labor. And now finally we have the last step, which would be to transfer this cost to our job cost sheet. All right, so what we will do here is our direct labor cost, we get it from our time tickets, And in this case, I'm going to go to the time ticket referring to job 006 and just copy that value over there. So now I already have my cost of materials, my cost of labor. Things are looking good. Just a couple more of them for us to finish calculating the total cost of this job. So in this video, we'll learn how to calculate the cost of labor for each one of the jobs and how to transfer that value to our job cost sheet in order for us to keep track of it. Okay, so overall, it's just a matter of staying organized, as you see, and knowing how many hours have actually been used on each one of the jobs, and then knowing about what is the average rate of each one of those employees. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video of this mini series.